What man didn't realize is that there is a sewer system in the human body that man never knew. Man thought that the human body was just a bunch of cells and blood. They didn't realize that there's a second fluid in the human body. They've known about it. They just call it interstitial fluid. Now they're considering the interstitial spaces maybe a new organ because they've never understood how does a body get rid of its byproducts, its metabolitic waste. In other words, waste from the cells. Let's look at the human body very simplistically. The human body is exclusively made of cells. Every cell you have, whether it's bone, brain, heart, liver, has spaces. It's like us. You two are sitting separately. I'm sitting separately, and there's spaces between us. That's how we get to feed them, but how do we clean them? And that's what medical doctors have never understood.
The Vidal Speaks podcast.
Episode 118, Dr. Robert Morse on iridology and using fruit to detox, heal, and regenerate. Welcome to Vidal Speaks. My name is Deborah Vidal, former 11-year LPGA golf pro turned classical homeopath, certified plant-based nutritionist, and wellness coach. Each week here on Vidal Speaks, we bring you knowledge, inspiration, or natural remedies to help you take charge of your health and feel your best. I believe health is freedom and knowledge is power, so tuning in each week will give you the power to take steps towards freeing yourself from the chains that hold you back from having the energy to do all you want in life. No matter where you are in your journey of wellness, Vidal Speaks can help. I promise. Hello everyone, welcome back. How are you guys doing today? I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be back here speaking with you guys about health. I love sharing all the truths that I've learned over the years, and you guys know that by now, I'm one of those people who never stop searching for answers because I'm always looking to help myself, my patients, and my family. I've been searching my whole life for answers. I hung in there for 43 years till I found a cure for my own headaches. First, it was my migraines, and then I had these horrible brain or eyeball headaches. For 8 years, I had them daily. They were just as bad, if not worse, than my migraines. And you know what? I used to call them my toxic brain headaches. Funny how our bodies really do know what the problem is, right? Just the fact that I called those headaches by that name tells me how much we need to listen to our intuition. I've learned a lot now to listen to my intuition, and in this case, I was sure they were caused by some toxic overload. And although I knew that, still for the life of me, I couldn't find a cure for these headaches. And I searched high and low, and I researched from morning to night. But acupuncture and a very deep detoxing finally cured them. Then there's the Lloyd problem. You guys know about Lloyd and what's been going on for him for almost 10 years. Wow, and through hard work and research and never giving up, that's my attitude. Never give up, because what are you going to get from giving up? I mean, you just have to keep going. But I believe we're finally on the right path now. Lloyd's having, for the first time, less headaches than ever before. And the other day, believe it or not, he had 2 hours with no pain in his feet. That was like a miracle because it's the first time ever in 10 years. I think it's just the universe showing him that he's on the right path with all this hard work that we're doing. And it's giving him a little glimpse of the future and a little sign to stay on the path. Many of you guys ask, well, what are you guys doing, right? Well, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this because I talk about it, but it's a good question because I'm always up to something. Well, many of you know, as I said, that we're doing this fruit diet since the beginning of the year. We used to do it 4 to 5 days a month as a cleanse, but then we learned that Dr. Morse was healing all these neurological conditions with an all-fruit diet, and that got me reconnected with his work. As I told you before, Dr. Morse is one of my main health mentors. I found him more than 11 years ago when I bought his book and I was trying to learn how to detox myself after my golf life. But when I discovered his YouTube channel, then I was totally amazed at his level of healing. And this pushed Lloyd and I into changing our diet. We had done about 6 months of 100% raw diet some years back. But one thing I don't like about the raw diet is that, at least when I was doing it, is that a lot of people were eating way too many nuts and seeds and oils. Yeah, they're delicious, don't get me wrong. I made many of those recipes. Look at all those delicious raw food desserts you can make. But you're pouring in, half a cup of coconut oil almost in every single recipe. You're using cups of nuts for the fat and for the gelling of the seeds. You're doing the flax seeds and the oils, and it just didn't feel right to me. I always knew that raw food is the best healing diet out there. You hear of all the people who had cancer and stuff, they almost always get better on raw food diets. But they're not eating all the coconut oils and the desserts and the tons of nuts and the meatloafs made with cups and cups of nuts. I don't really think this is healthy. So even though I knew that the raw food diet was best, I felt that I was better off maybe eating what I would call a high raw diet, which included some cooked food because that would allow me to intake more veggies rather than just filling up on nuts. So now we're doing an all raw diet, but with no nuts or oils, and the only seeds we eat are the ones that I use in my raw bread or crackers that I make myself, and we only eat those occasionally when we're not doing an all fruit day. For the last couple months, we're doing about 5 days a week all fruit. Maybe a couple of those days we might have one of our little pieces of raw cracker with a little bit of vegan cheese on, sometimes just the cracker plain. But the other few days we're doing all fruit, and sometimes we do all 5 days all fruit and no cheat with a cracker. And the other 2 days we do fruit all day and a salad at night, or maybe a raw dish that I may make that not one night, but that's it. Once in a while we'll cheat and eat a cooked meal, but that's only if we can go out to our favorite restaurant, Crossroads here in LA. Oh, geez. But you know what? I just remembered there's a restaurant not far from us, and it's all organic and has really great chef and really good reviews. It's called Sun Cafe, and they offer a lot of raw things on their menu. So that gives us a good option now, and we can stay raw doing that. But we eat very simply now. We're eating many monofruit meals or even just juices all day. Physically, it's really easy. But mentally, that's another story. Sometimes it's hard, but it's getting much easier. Actually, when I don't eat all fruit, I actually feel like, I wish I would have eaten all fruit. I don't feel that good even when I just have my salads. I wouldn't want to do that every night now because I really do appreciate the energy that you get and just the feeling how your body feels when you eat all fruit. I want to do a whole show where I just talk about this process and how it's been for us. I also want to tell you more about why this diet works, but you're going to learn a lot about this today since I'm honoring you with my favorite non-homeopathic health mentor ever, Dr. Robert Morse. I'm so happy and I'm really honored to have Dr. Morse as a guest and to allow me to interview him so you guys could also learn from him. Wow, this is really a treat. But don't stop here. Go follow him on YouTube, you guys. He has thousands of amazing shows for you to learn from. Speaking of YouTube, I wanted to tell you guys that I'm trying to learn how to do a video and post it, and I really hope to do more of those too, where I can just sit and answer many of your health questions. So be sure to send me your health questions. I already got a couple last month, and I'm hanging on to them because I want to be able to answer them face-to-face via YouTube. I want to also use YouTube for kind of my me speaks. Remember my me speaks? It means no real interviews, just me answering all your questions and just me ranting on about health and detox. All the good and the bad, the truth and the lies, the right and the wrong. And you guys know how I like to do this, right? So I wanted to try YouTube for this purpose. Stay tuned. Let's see if I can get that going. For now, let's get into this interview with Dr. Morse. Dr. Morse is a detox and regeneration specialist. This is huge because he not only tells you how to truly detox, but how to regenerate our broken down bodies and systems. He's also an iridologist. He teaches both And I finally decided to do his certification program. And yes, I completed it and I passed level 1, which is about detox and regeneration and all his protocols. And I'll finish my Iridology certification in October, which is level 2. I'm really excited about that. You guys know I'm the detox queen, but you may not know how deeply interested in Iridology I've been for many, many years. I just could never teach it to myself. Then I found Dr. Morse offers his school and certification on Iridology, and I was all over that. Iridology is so profound, it's a map of your eye that can show you things about your organs, your tissues, before you even get symptoms or the bad news of so-called diseases. It shows you your inherited weaknesses, which means a lot about your genetics, but it also shows you your genetic strengths. It shows you how much toxic waste you have in your body and where it's beginning to accumulate or affecting you the most. There's nothing like this out there that can do this. And the eye, it's an amazing organ. And I'm a daughter of an ophthalmologist, so I have to admit, I've always had a love for the eye. Now I can use Iridology as a tool to help people, and I can follow in my dad's footsteps of studying and healing via the eye. Modern day tests and doctors are just not able to diagnose correctly anymore. They end up just throwing all these people's problems into syndromes or categories, like autoimmune diseases or pain syndromes like fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue or whatever all these other names are. But there's so many idiopathic neuropathies like Lloyd's. Look, there's millions of people with these idiopathic neuropathies and doctors have no clue why. But if you take a look at the eye, you can learn why and you can get a lot more answers. Your eye can help you understand what is going on and even what's going to happen in the future if you don't fix what you see. How cool is that? And Dr. Morse was trained by Dr. Jensen. By the way, Dr. Jensen, he was the master iridologist who advanced iridology the furthest in this lifetime, or at least in his lifetime. When he died, his daughter-in-law broke away sadly from his teachings, and they formed a newer method that Dr. Morse does not agree with. It's known today as German iridology, and most of what you find on the internet or practitioners that you find do this kind of iridology. Dr. Morse was Dr. Jensen's protege, and he's the person that's alive today that is teaching this original method, and that method has been practiced for hundreds of years before Dr. Jensen from many great homeopaths and other doctors with much success. So you may ask then, what's the difference between American iridology and German iridology? Good question. German iridology holds a strong belief that the colors and patterns of the irides or the little fibers in the iris, they don't change no matter what's going on with the body. They believe it's just your constitutional position that you're born with or color that you're born with. American iridology acknowledged that science is kind of a real-time feedback system, which means that we can see in real time the toxins in the body when they come out and when they go in, and that would change the color of the eye. And thousands of Dr. Morse patients or followers can attest to the changes that occur in the iris as a result of true and correct detoxification and regeneration of their physical body. And personally, I think the reason many people don't believe that your eye color can change is because they're not willing to eat the diet that it would take to truly detox. That's just my opinion, but I honestly believe this because many people say their eye didn't change. But then I look at what they're eating and I say, okay, so Dr. Morse is right because the people that do his protocol, and it takes years, but their eyes change. If you have pictures taken of your iris before you go on a true detoxification program, and then you take another set of pictures every 12 months or so, you'll see gradual changes in the eyes. They're not instantaneous. It does take time. But the most important thing is to see that it takes a thorough detoxification program to actually get it started. And by the way, do a search in Google and put in there Raw Christina's eye color change. And you'll find some sites that show you pictures of how her eyes went from brown to blue. You know, Raw Christina, she's a raw food person. She's been a raw foodist for probably 15 years, I think. So that goes to show you just how detoxifying a raw food diet is. And by the way, you guys, there's only two color eyes, brown and blue. So if you're like me and you have green, gold, or hazel, then you've got a lot of toxins to get rid of. And most of us may have come into this life with all of these toxins, and then we add to that with all the toxic overload that's in our foods, our vaccinations, our air, our water, whatever. But it's so cool because where these toxins sit on your iris, it shows you what parts of your body are being affected, and it can show you all of your genetic weaknesses, even this kind of toxic overload that you may have taken in since your birth. It's so cool. It's really an amazing science, and I'm studying and learning like crazy right now, and I'm really loving it. All right, more on all this later, but I just had to tell you this because I wanted to let you know that I asked Dr. Morse to do a reading of Lloyd's eye as part of the show so you guys could hear and learn how it works and what he sees in Lloyd's eye. I was going to do it in the second half of the show, but I just like to let the interview flow and just go as it comes up. And it came up right away. So it's actually going to be the first 30 or so minutes. And then after that, we'll get into the subject of why fruit and his story and all about his detox protocol. Look, there's so much. I could have interviewed him for 10 hours, but it's a long one. So I hope you guys really love it because I love Dr. Morse so much. If there's one human being in my life that is pure love and light, it's this man. I believe he's put here on our earth to be an angel to all of us. And I hope you're going to love him as much as I do. And really, when I go back there in October to study with him to finish my Iridology, I hope to do another interview with him so I can give you guys more of him. All right, enough for now. Now let's go meet Dr. Morse. Dr. Robert Morse is the creator and founder of Dr. Morse Herbal Health Clinic. He has lectured and taught in the natural health sciences throughout the world for the past 40 years, and he has authored many books on health and spirituality. He has appeared on numerous television news programs and international documentaries, presenting findings, case studies, and educating on detoxification and cellular regeneration. Dr. Morse holds a doctorate of science in biochemistry and a doctorate of naturopathy from Brantridge Forest School in Sussex, England. He is a master herbalist with a degree from many institutes. Dr. Morse is a member of the American Naturopathic Medical Association and a board-certified naturopath, and he's an honorary member of ASPEMT, which is the Medical Association of Portugal, where he did a lot of work in his clinic there to regenerate people in serious neurological states. This same organization gave Dr. Morse an honorary degree for his professional work in tissue regeneration. He also holds certificates from Iridologists International and was awarded the Certificate of Excellence in Iridology, Nutrition, and Holistic Healing, personally presented to him by his friend, the late Dr. Bernard Jensen. Dr. Morse gives all he knows out for free, and he only wants to teach the world how simple cellular tissue regeneration is. He is also a very spiritual man and offers many words of wisdom on not only finding your health, but love, peace, and purpose through direct connection with our own God energy. Many love him for his spiritual advice, and as I said, he's truly an amazing human being. He is an author, lecturer, practitioner, and teacher, and not only does he have a degree in naturopathy and iridology, but he also has a degree in biochemistry and nutrition and fitness. He used to travel the world and teach others the secrets of detoxification and tissue regeneration. And as a fruitarian, Dr. Morse spent many years fasting and living on fruits only. He teaches others how to tap into boundless energy rejuvenation with this high-level fruit diet. 25 years ago, Dr. Morse created his own herbal formulas because he wanted to be sure we could all have truly the best. He is known as one of the best herbalists in the whole world, and his botanical formulas are extra strong and tissue-specific for the rejuvenation work that many of his students are doing via his training. These formulas have received worldwide acclaim and are used by physicians, clinics, individuals throughout the world. Dr. Morse is on a mission of not only healing and regenerating, but also to help awaken souls to God and the God energy that we all have inside of us. And by the way, Dr. Morse has traveled the world to study spirituality, and he's speaking from a lot of study and knowledge. But that's a whole nother interview, because his roots of spirituality are as deep as his health knowledge. Now, I want to read to you a little message from Dr. Morse. This is on his website. Dr. Morse's Herbal Health Club is a private members-only website and the official provider of the Dr. Morse cellular botanicals and God's herb products. For over 42 years, Dr. Robert Morse has developed personalized health programs suited for the individual that restore the human body back to health and vitality. Our health programs are focused on two major fluids, blood and lymph, and the cells of our body, leading to detoxification and regeneration. The medical community is treatment-based and has no curative value. Our focus is to help the human race to change their consciousness from treatment-based thinking to true health. No matter what your age, health is one of your greatest assets while you're living your journey on this planet. For generations, man has been ignorant of his or her proper nutritional needs. It is not difficult to understand the proper foods man should be consuming, which is simply reflected in the physiological design of the human species. Once called omnivores by many, humans are actually frugivores. Man's diet should be predominantly fruits and vegetables instead of dead animals, their milks, and dormant foods like grains and beans. Because of the type of foods and chemicals that man has been and is still consuming, humans have created a state of toxicity, genetic weakness, decay, and degeneration of cells never seen before in any species. Understanding this and what one must do to reverse this is vital in the preservation of our species and one's experience of true health. There is so much misinformation, mainly because of big business, that man is confused and frustrated. Our clinic has been dedicated to truth and using regenerative detoxification to assist humans and animals back to health for over 40 years. Health becomes very simple when you understand how one loses it. I've spent decades assisting thousands in restoring and regenerating the tissues of their physical bodies, as well as connecting them with God again. True happiness is a combination of physical, emotional, and mental balance with a broader understanding of who you are as an individual, who you really are. I hope you enjoy our website, and if you need assistance or have questions, please feel free to call our clinic. Wow, isn't that amazing, you guys? All right, I know you're ready by now to meet one of my most favorite people in the whole world. I hope so, because I got to tell you, I was the most excited to do this interview than any other one so far. So sit back, relax, work out, walk, eat, whatever. But be sure to put on those listening ears, because you're going to love this one and you're going to learn a lot. Okay, here we go. Hi, Dr. Morse.
Hey, brother.
Hey, Lloyd, I was looking at your picture. All right, so what we have is we have a little Geraldo. We have John Bolton. We have Robert Morse.
How about Kurt Russell and Sean Penn?
Dad, Sean Penn, too. My God.
Yeah, he gets asked if he's related to Sean Penn.
Look at that, man. You could pass for a whole bunch of people.
But for now, send all your videos to people, and our first sentence back to, oh my God, he looks like Lloyd.
Yeah, I like your hair.
We're brothers from different mothers.
Brothers from different mothers, man.
And I've interviewed a lot of people and been interviewed on the tour because I played professional golf and I worked for the Golf Channel. And I have never been as excited as I am today on my birthday to interview you.
Woo-hoo!
So thank you
Happy
so
birthday.
much. Thank you. And it's the best birthday gift ever because you're in our house morning and night. We have your video on in our house upstairs and
that's
downstairs.
crazy.
See, look, he's already got it
Oh my God,
on.
that's crazy.
So we're your YouTubers. I'm certified by you. I'm coming to Florida with my best friend, Ellen, who passed your level 1 also. And Ellen and I are coming. We're going to meet you in person and get the Dr. Morse hug.
That's going to be fun. I tell you, our classes are fun. And the
I can't wait.
iridology classes, they're really fun because you're learning how to read people's eyes. You can just sit there and nail them on everything.
You know, it's my passion because my dad's an eye doctor and I have his little model eye out on my shelf. I bought my first iridology book 25, 30 years ago, and I've been trying to learn it on my own, and I never knew how to do it. And then I found you, so I'm going to learn in October. I'm really happy.
That'll be fun.
You don't even need an introduction because the world knows you, but thank you for being on my show.
Yeah, and thank you for being there in general.
And for all the work that you do. Oh my gosh, we love you to death.
Well, you guys are a couple fun guys too, you know, and it's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Oh, we love you, Dr. Morse.
I was looking at your race picture. That's amazing.
You know, I'm still doing that, Dr. Morse. That's my only relief from my syndrome of pain. I have nothing doing that still, so I still do it. Yeah.
Wow.
It absolutely goes away.
Wow. What kind of pain are you in?
Well, that's the foot pain, the neuropathy I've had since I woke up from a neck surgery 9 years ago.
No kidding.
We think it might have been the propofol, like you say on your videos.
We had no idea until we heard your videos, a couple of them talking about propofol, but he had 2 surgeries. The first one, I fought with the doctor to do a non-fusion just to remove the bulge. Sure. And then he got a frozen shoulder shortly after. And in therapy for his shoulder, he blew a disc out and he was in excruciating pain. And they said, now we have to do a fusion. But right after the second surgery, he woke up with numb feet.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, you know, I've gone through suicidal thoughts over these 8 years. It's been the worst. And it's just,
crap, man.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, I've been on your protocol for 14 weeks now, and we realize my adrenals are down from all your videos, but I wake up after 8-9 hours of sleep and I'm yawning. I'm so tired still. And the headache started years ago, and it's back in my head, up into my eyes, and it's every night about 3 o'clock in the morning they start.
And when he started this protocol, he had many days he was not having headaches, but in the last 2 weeks, he's starting to get them upon waking, and I don't know if that's a healing crisis now.
All right, so I was asking blood pressures for you before we lost connection.
Low.
His blood pressure is usually around 105 over 55.
Crap.
Yeah, it's low.
It's low, because when I get up, every time I get up, I nearly faint.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all.
You know, Robert, it just shows, look at my skin. And my fingernails, they've spooned my whole life.
So let's look at a couple of things here. When you're looking at the spoon, you're looking at those, the elasticity and stuff, you're looking at connective tissue and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Parathyroid.
Yeah, parathyroid. You guys are getting it good. See, and I love this because there's not any medical doctors that are as good as you guys. Well, here's the thing. I'll start with the good stuff. You have really great genes, genes, right? Yeah. But you were born with some kidneys, a little bit of kidneys. The adrenal glands, I'll have to tell you, even though you're running low blood pressure, you're above average in your adrenal gland. You do have nerve rings. You're about at a subacute level, genetically speaking. The left one may be a little more chronic in that way, but I work myself up to your pituitary gland, right side. You've got some kind of drug deposit, or, I don't know what else. I don't think it's atrophy and decay, because that would be quite serious. It looks like a drug deposit. It's right in the pituitary gland on the right. If you look at your right eye, 12 o'clock, about an inch above the pupil, you'll see this black, real blackened area.
Right, we know that spot.
That's right at your pituitary gland.
He has a history of drug use. He smoked marijuana recreationally his whole life, but the last 10 years he did it for pain, but it didn't really help, so he doesn't do...
I quit 2 years ago.
You can't, that's good. You can't smoke it for pain because smoke is acidic.
Yeah.
So it just exacerbates the pain. You can only take the oils in internally as an antacid. You want to get a little higher up on the pole here. So I can say there is genetic weaknesses in that pituitary. Something has pulled itself to that pituitary and it can't be making it feel real good. So the pituitary controls all of them. All of them. So let's look at the rest of them. Let's go to the thyroid gland. I don't know, on the right side, you're working on a little nodule there, so you want to be careful. The thyroid is genetically weak and the parathyroid with it, but only about at the subacute level. The tonsil's weak and the throat is weak as well.
Yeah.
So you could have a little bit of a sore throat during this. The upper neck here, axis, upper C-spine, chronic.
Yes.
Yeah, you're involved up there on the right side. I'm just on the right side right now. Your whole C-spine is in a subacute, but you got a chronic up in the upper C near the axis area. A T-spine, mid-back, okay, you've got weaknesses up and down your spine. They're not deep, very fixable, but they're still there. Lower back, you got the kidney lower back.
Yeah.
Prostate, tons of lymph stagnation in the
prostate.
prostate.
Every night I can't pee at night.
Yeah, big swelling.
Gets really blocked, no urine will come out.
And then in the day it goes away. It's really strange that it
can be positional too, though, man. When you're swollen like that, certain positions can shut down the ability to pee. Just things can become positional. It's like most people don't realize that more heart attacks happen laying on your left side. Wow. People who lay on their left side are much more prone to have heart attacks, believe it or not. Now, a big weakness that came into your world is skin. Skin, you have a very large skin ring, and most of your skin is in a chronic stage of weakness.
Wow.
So some of that is due probably to the parathyroid, some to the low thyroid pituitary in your genetics, where people didn't sweat, people didn't get elimination through the skin properly.
Well, I sweat like crazy. We take a sauna every day.
Yeah, this is just a weakness you're going to have to just strengthen as you go on here. It's a difference between cells and fluids. And when we talk about weaknesses and strengths, that's cells. Right. Fluids. So if I looked at your lymph system overall, I'm going to say it isn't that involved.
Wow.
Which is good. Your lymph nodes, though, I bet your lymph nodes have been swollen since you've been in your mother.
Yes.
You've got lymph nodes swollen around the body. You want to break them loose.
Yeah.
You got lymph nodes swollen in your right kidney, all over the place.
Yeah. We saw that in the
lymphatic rosary.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you have is the lymphatic rosary there.
Yep.
That's outside a very large skin ring. Interesting enough. But you've got such great genes, you'll refurbish this pretty easily.
So the numb feet will go away, you reckon, huh?
Oh, no, they'll definitely go away.
Wow.
What kind of process is that, Dr. Morse?
Well, you would want to live. I don't know what this is in your pituitary, but I'm going to say you want to live on a fruit diet. Yeah. Fruit, berries, melons, just what we're pushing, because you need to get that. You need to get your sinuses to break loose, because here's the other thing. You have malabsorption, and you have a very large malabsorption ring.
Yeah.
Considering the wall isn't that thick. It's thickened. That's that thick wall right there. See that black spot? That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah. Right stuck in your friggin' pituitary gland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looks like there's some, all right? That's either some of this or another drug deposit. And that's sitting right in your, well, this could be another reason why you get lightheaded and stuff. This is sitting right in the right ear mastoid area.
I get tinnitus in my left ear for years now.
You got this same look. This is on the left side of the body.
Right.
That's in your left shoulder, lungs. So I don't know. It's some, and I don't know if it's the same chemical or what.
I got hit by a car on my bicycle 25 years ago, and it started all this stuff. It ripped my aorta loose. I was dead twice. I have a Dacron aorta now, and ever since there, a lot of this stuff is ramifications because of that accident.
Okay, so then we're in a process of cleaning and strengthening, because you've got a great body to regenerate.
Well, we do fruit as much as we can. We still cheat on salad sometime because it's really been hard.
That's
Dr.
okay.
Morse to do this. And I wished I
That's
would have
okay.
learned, like you say, if I would have learned this when I was a little kid, it'd be a lot. Look, I don't miss the meat, the dairy, or any of that crap. But like you said, I miss a cookie. You know what I mean?
Once in a while, you got to have a cookie. Because if you don't, you can go mad.
Yes. So that doesn't bring you back too far when you do a couple of crackers, does it?
Nothing like meat does.
Yeah.
Nothing like meat does.
So, like, if the day we did all fruit and we had 4 or 5 little vegan crackers, would we put ourselves back weeks? No. Okay.
You wouldn't put yourself back at all.
Okay.
You might slow everything down a wee bit,
Right.
but you wouldn't put yourself back at all. You might run into some fermentation when you combine the two, in your stomach.
Looking as deep as this stuff is in my lymph system, I'm thinking a few years before this starts to turn over on the feet.
No. If you get focused, you should get that neuropathy out in 4 to 5 months easy, if not sooner.
Wow.
Really? Because we're like 3 months on it now, and he doesn't really feel any
No.
different. But so
Wow.
I'm wondering, do you think I should up his pituitary glandular or up his adrenal glandular, or do you think there's something different we should do?
I would move to the pituitary herbal. Let me write you the next protocol for you.
Okay, thank you.
Because you got some stuff to get out of you.
Dr. Morse, his malabsorption has been all his entire life. He was a huge milk drinker like you were.
Yeah, huge.
And
Quart a day.
Oh, Jesus.
I know that's a really big problem in people is malabsorption. Like, what do you do? I mean, we're doing the fruit, we're doing the herbs, we're doing the saunas. What can we do?
Well, think about this. This is a whole system that they don't even know about.
Yeah.
And the latest information is they're calling the interstitial spaces in the human body, the spaces around all your cells, a new organ.
Yeah, we saw that on your video.
I mean, these guys are going off the deep end, man.
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on. You guys are smarter than they are. And it's amazing.
They're getting sicker and sicker, so they need to come up with new...
Something.
Yeah.
But when under the acid sky, when you have anything under that sky, it will rip apart, but it also agglomerates. So you've got two things happening. You have a cationic environment where you have a very corrosive environment, but you also have an environment of agglomeration where things are dehydrated, your electrolytes are burned, and everything then starts sticking like glue. So you've got miles of that.
Right.
So you just have to, it's just time on the planet. Now, don't get too upset too, but think about this. Here's a case, and just to show you the differences in people, and I can't tell you, but here's a case of a Lou Gehrig's case. She's a singer. She couldn't sing. She couldn't talk. She couldn't walk, of course. She got real bad. Her limbs got distorted, of course. In 4 months on nothing but fruit and the herbs, 4 months, she's talking, she's singing, and I got her up, scuffling her chair.
Wow.
She couldn't even stand before.
Wow.
So when you see that level of nerve work and stuff, you know that you can get this. I don't know why people take longer than others other than the state of their bodies, the state of their minds, the state of their emotions, all of that coming down on one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, detox is one that gets rid of emotions and gets rid of angers. It gets rid of all kinds of crap, not just physical stuff.
Right.
Because it's opening all your channels of energy, so then you can grow and prosper, and your body can mend and repair. It's kind of like this guy that fell out of the sky. His parachute didn't open. I talk a lot about him, but his parachute didn't open. He hit the water at 90 miles an hour. He was a quad when I met him. I rebuilt him. He was. It took me 2 years though to rebuild him. He was crushed, but I rebuilt him. He's now running and walking and flying. I mean, he's doing all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
Got his whole life back, and you can't even tell he hit the ground like that.
Wow.
I know. That's what made me want to do your certification, because it's about regeneration, not just detox. It's about regenerating all these.
You got to get that acid medium, though. You got to get that acid matrix out of the way, because in an acidic medium, it's just hard to get regeneration, and that's what man's trying to do. He's trying to get things to change in a chemical medium that's breaking it down.
when you say that, though, a lot of what people used to tell me is, oh, did you know your whole body turns over in 2 years, you have new lungs? And then I keep thinking, well, why do I still have the same crappy old back? It's been 30 years and I've been a vegan my whole life and I still have a crappy back.
Exactly. Every 7 years, your body replaces its cells. This kind of propaganda crap is the AMA has filtrated our whole society with crap. It's not even true.
Yeah.
I would said you would never reach the degenerative stages if that was factual. The problem with that, though, is that it picks up on itself. As you weaken a cell, it replicates the weakness. It doesn't replicate the original memory. See, everything is in real time. So every cell in your body replicates itself in real time.
Oh, not good.
Guy, you pull out in front of your bike, right? And you put yourself pretty bad, but you were young. You were married, so you conceived and have a child during that time. Oh, real probable, but that the accident, the injury to those cells and stuff would be past.
Wow.
At the time of conception, at that moment, the consciousness is what's past of the cells.
Yeah, it's so sad these people get pregnant and they don't even consider about preparing their body for it, not just physically, but just the detox level, because they're passing on this huge congested lymph system, these heavy metals, the weak genes, the burn genes, so all the DNA's turned on and in the bad way. This is what their child's starting with. Look
at what we have. I have so many young people. The bulk of our business is in the youth. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, it should be in the older. When we got all these babies and all these 20-year-olds that are dying and having their colons completely removed and stuff like that. And so the youth is in a big mess.
Yeah, they're in a big mess. So, Dr. Morse, let's finish with Lloyd's eyes, and then we can move on, and I can ask you some more questions about your detox and your protocol and your life.
I tell you what, I'll just go over your whole body and just give you an idea of what I see here. Okay. All right, so let's look on the right side again. We've got something going on big time with that pituitary. Got to get that out. The sinuses back here in the cerebellum. That's your equilibrium dizzy center.
Wow. Now, one little question about that. When he had his accident where he severed his aorta,
I hit my head on the back of the curb.
From ear to ear, he has a scar right where you're showing, all the way ear to ear, right there. And he gets a lot of pressure in his head there.
A lot of pressure.
Okay, so now listen, you're going to have a healing crisis there, I can almost guarantee you. Okay. So if it starts hurting like you had the accident,
right?
Okay. Because I've had accidents before. I had a head-on crash once that just put glass back in my head and everything. And I tell you, when I started detoxing, it came back like I had the accident.
Okay.
And so these places like that don't heal, they're going to heal. Okay. And I'm going to go after them with my protocols. I'll go after you, with that. And but keep in mind, those things can come up.
Okay.
Also, you've got some kind of drug deposit or something in the right ear. And so you'll have to see how that goes. I'd candle my ears 3 or 4 candles per ear at least. As I go around the body here, let's look at the bronchial trunks. Don't look so bad. The lungs, mid-lobe of the right lung is a little genetically involved. Chest wall. Yeah, the right chest wall. You look like you got a lymph node that's decayed in the right chest wall, but we'll have to see how that rocks. You can clean the liver out. Gallbladder doesn't look too bad. Some minor genetics there. The pancreas, that's your main digestive organ of the blood. You've got some genetics in the pancreatic area. I would say that you have some subacute to chronic weaknesses, so that could affect digestion. Also, there's a lot of lymph stagnation in the pancreatic wall. That could be problematic in the future. When you see lymph stagnation, that's potential for tumors, cysts, that sort of thing. Hip-wise, the right hip has some genetics in it as well. You have a little bit of a chronic weakness in places in that right hip. The groin also. Yeah. The whole right leg is weak, but particularly from the knee down.
When I was in that accident, my kneecap got cracked, so I favored that leg for years.
Look at that crap. I know I fell off a telephone pole and my right knee they had to take the kneecap off. I broke it. They had to drill it, and I'm having trouble with it now. But I look at the wall of the bladder, like the prostate. Like I said, the prostate has minor genetic, but heavy lymph stagnation. So that's a lot of inflammation in the prostate. Wow. Bladder wall, you have lymph stagnation in the bladder wall and some minor genetics involved. Also, a lymph node to the bladder is involved as well. Back-wise, lower back, of course, upper T-spine, left side, C-spine a little bit, as we talked about earlier, particularly the axis on the right side.
I sure wished I would have gotten involved in the eyes when I was a kid instead of motors.
Aren't they fun?
Instead of motorcycles and car engines.
Well, you know what, though? You can now.
Well, that's why I like you, because you make it mechanical for me to understand. When I heard your first video, I said, this is my guy.
I know. When I found your videos, I was up 4 hours in the middle of the night, and I sent it to Lloyd, and I said, you will not believe how you will understand everything this guy talks, because he talks mechanical.
Yeah, because you got to, you know?
Yeah, it's cool.
But you have, on top of all this, you have some fantastic genes. Fantastic genes. Your left knee's a little bit of an issue there, left groin, hip. All these tissues could be strengthened. They're not deeply weak, but they're at the acute to subacute level, so not real bad, but still need to be strengthened. Left chest wall could be strengthened up a little bit. Heart area looks pretty good, tell you the truth.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's that Dacron aorta.
It's that Dacron aorta they put back.
Superman
But that'll repair itself. And that's another thing to this is we got to remember the parathyroid and pituitary gland, because you want to start strengthening connective tissue, start strengthening everything up there. But you have the body to do this. So I think you're doing everything pretty right there. You don't have any major prolapsing of the bowel, so the connective tissue isn't that bad. Your fibers are pretty straight. So
20-day grape fast or something, or a 30-day grape fast, that should push it another level, right?
That's what I do. That's what I would do, because whatever this is in that pituitary gland, you just got to get these sinuses to drain. And you might even see some nasty stuff coming out of your sinuses. Who knows?
So, Dr. Morse, when you see somebody, though, that has absorption issues, then they're taking the herbs and the capsules of your protocol, does that, Lloyd always asks me, I hope I'm absorbing the herbs and the capsules. You know, this is the thing. Like, what do? You just keep going, and at some point it starts getting better?
Think about this. All this is a state of dehydration or acidosis. When the acids in the body start to dominate, they keep your electrolytes burnt. And of course, when you look at people's diets, they're robbed of electrolytes. There's very few diets that are electrically alive anymore, right? Because they cook them and everything. Right. So things rebond, you lose the magnetic bonds and everything when you do that. So now you've got no energy type of foods and stuff. Think about this. In this agglomerated factor, you've got miles of lymph tissues, and you have the lymph nodes attached to it. So once you get your kidneys to filter, and you don't know if you're getting only one to filter or both of them to filter, that's the other thing you don't know. I know but at least we know this much. Right? At least we know this much. So one of my opinions is, of course, it is obviously a state of hydration. It takes an X amount of time bringing in these electrolytes to create this ionization, to get everything more hydrated, fluid, because in a dehydrated state, things just lock down. You get tight, frozen shoulders.
I had 2 of them.
There you go. And that's your lymph system back, not moving. So you freeze up. It's acid, because underneath your calcium's being pulled, cells are being damaged, all this crap like that. Right. But you're frozen, and that's the lymph fluid. That's acidosis.
Well, I look at Hildy, and I look at how bad she was, and I mean, geez, if she came back, and she seems really strong.
Yeah.
Hildy is an unbelievable person.
Yes, good story.
Because when I first met her, she was in bed in Norway with RA so bad her limbs were like this. She doesn't remember sometimes how bad she was. Wow. And she couldn't get out of bed. She was in so much pain and everything. Yeah. So she's come miles, and she keeps blowing through it. Whatever hits her, she keeps blowing through it. Amazing. Yeah. She fell and broke her hip, blew through it. Healed so fast it freaked the doctors out. blew through it.
If you stay on the path, if someone like Hildy or Lloyd or me, if they stayed on the path and they just kept going, eventually, like the spoon nails that he's had all his life, eventually that has to turn around. Otherwise, you're still not absorbing.
It is my opinion that you do it until that does turn around.
Exactly.
Because these are the things you don't want. These are the problems that we have. My very first client was a young girl from New York City, and this is back about 1972 or something like that. And she came into my office and she said, "Look, all my fingernails fell off."
Wow.
I said, "Your fingernails fell off?" She said, "All my fingernails fell off." And I said, "Well, what have you been doing?" She said, "Well, I'm from New York," she said, "and I read about this yoga ashram down in the Bahamas." And she said, "I went down there for 2 weeks of cleansing and fruit and fasting and stuff." And I said, Oh. I said, "So," and I wouldn't have known it had been a faster and stuff like that,
Right.
But, and because I just became a naturopath, right? And you're not taught this stuff in schools. So I said, "So you just went from a New York City diet right into a raw food diet and stuff?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "That's why." So I got her turned around, worked on her parathyroid and everything, and these things came out like claws. I'm going,
Wow.
Damn, you put fake ones on. She said, "Nope, those are mine, baby." So let me tell you, there's regeneration. You hang in until you get it. You take, just like you're riding, bro. You take yourself where you want to go. You take your body where you want to go. It's not you, it's just your body you're using. So where are you going to take your body? To the body shop.
You start losing a little bit of hope that anything can
I
work.
get
And
it.
he always says, "I hope this is going to work. I hope the
No,
herbs
I
are
get
going to
it.
work." But I always tell him, like, don't even use the word hope. Just know you're on the path and just keep going.
Listen, I know right where you're coming from.
Yeah.
People are suffering a whole lifetime here, easy with pain. And look at all the RAs and the lupuses and the Lymes, all the women. Acid. They don't know anything. They just give them antibiotics, makes fungus worse. That's uric acid, which makes worse. I mean, it's a nightmare. And unless you get into that lymphatic system, what other system is there?
Right.
I mean, when you tear the body apart, pretty soon there's nothing left there to tear apart. You're right at the core issue of how the body is. There's nothing else there.
Right. I totally get where you're coming from. I'm a 22-year practicing homeopath. So I see so many sick patients and sick people. And gosh, this is why I'm always looking, even the first year of my practice, I started going, what's going on? There's all these adrenal thyroid symptoms. Is it an epidemic? And I started trying to do saliva testing and put them on adrenal stuff, even way back then. But it got so difficult because since I'm not a doctor and I can't do my own testing, like blood tests, and then doctors don't want to work with you when you're a homeopath. It's so frustrating, Western medicine, how they don't connect with us to make it a team thing. So in the end, I just learned to do it all on my own.
And then they work against you to put you out of business because you're helping
That's the
people.
whole point. They've been doing that since I've been in practice because truth hurts.
Yeah, that's no
Well,
kidding.
it's sad. I heard California's giving you some problems now on one of your videos, which is sad because we're so progressive, supposedly.
Supposedly, yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
They're crazy. California is real crazy. I'm telling you. And it's
That's because the AMA is so strong here. That's why.
Exactly.
That's why.
Exactly. And these guys they're so used to being their party animals and having fun. They know nothing. And the more I can educate you guys, the more you're looking at that going, oh my God, what they've been experimenting on people and doing with people with pharmaceuticals.
Well, look, you're educating thousands of people that are regular people that know how to heal people now better than doctors.
Yeah.
Lloyd's always been interested in getting his health better, but not that interested really in pursuing it. When he found you, he says, I want to get certified. I want to learn this stuff. I want to help other people.
You got to have some biker buddies that are suffering.
I have one that just got through throat cancer and he won yesterday. All the wrong things, chemotherapy, and what do we see him doing in the pits? Eating a hot dog.
So listen, he is not going to be long because this thing will explode now.
I know.
You don't mess with radiation. You don't mess with this.
I know, and I try to tell these people, but doctors, until they're ready to listen, they won't hear it.
So your bike is going to go in the shop, right? So you got to realize you're malabsorbed, so you're going to get a little thin, a little skinny, and you can't help it because you're going after this. But there's a time when the bike comes out of the shop.
I know.
Right? And you just got to know that. There's a time. Look at Ian, big muscle guy, one of our guys, he got real skinny, very malabsorbed. Now he's got his body back. It's like, holy crap, Ian.
Just a quick reminder, you guys, to share this podcast with your friends, please. And also, if you haven't done so already, I just want to ask you to please leave a review on iTunes. Lastly, if you guys are shopping on Amazon already and you're not using anyone else's banner, please consider to use the Amazon banner on my website. Just go to vidalspeaks.com and click on that banner. It'll say Amazon banner right there. And then when that takes you to Amazon, you can just bookmark that and put it on your bookmarks bar. And then all you have to do is click on that little bookmarks bar link and it'll take you right to Amazon. And you guys know your privacy is 100%. They throw me a little commission, but I have no idea who's buying or what they're buying. So you're completely protected with privacy. I so appreciate any of you guys that are already doing that on a regular basis. I love you. All right, you guys, I love all of you. Let's get back to the show. Thanks, Dr. Morse, for doing that reading of Lloyd's eyes. That was very helpful, and I hope the listeners learned a lot from that too. But now let's get on to your story. I want to learn how you got on the detox journey, and also let's talk about the details of your detox protocol, because that is how others are going to detox, heal, and regenerate, okay?
I was raised as basically a farm boy. I mean, we had farms and we raised horses. Talk about getting bucked off. I mean, we raised horses and my sister trained them for barrel racing. So we've been kicked, bit, stepped on, laid on.
It's funny how much we have in common, though, between you doing the cars and you're so into cars, and then I do the horses and you've done all that stuff.
Well, where he went into bikes, I went into the pony cars, because back then it was Cudas and the real Cudas, the original Cudas, the 426 Hemis and things like that. And I had a 440 Cuda, and we were racing. And of course, I was close to the Indianapolis 500. So you could go up there and the guys would take your car and fix it up properly.
Cool.
But it's been a fun ride.
So how did you get into this? I'm so curious.
I grew up with migraines too. We drank a lot of milk. It was a milk, and I was addicted to nose drops. I couldn't breathe. I was always congested and always migraines, just like you guys. And it's like migraines are not fun. No. You know that. I know that. A ton of people out there know that. So when I got married and I came to Florida because we had built a house in Florida in the early 50s. And so I wanted Florida. Indiana wasn't my type. Snow, cold, farming, no way. I want to get down where it's beaches and beauty and fruit, because I love fruit, right? So I decided to tackle a house. I wanted to build a house from the ground up by myself. I wanted to lay the foundation, the footers. I wanted to build the whole thing. Wow. So I found a friend on the beach, some good-looking man. He had the beautifulest blue eyes. And I said, we were playing volleyball, and all the girls loved him, and everything. And I was talking to the people around there. I said, I need a carpenter to help me. He said, I'm a carpenter, and I need work. I said, well, help me build this duplex. So as we're building this duplex, because we were both carpenters, right, he's eating all this fruit and all these veggies and stuff, and I'm probably eating McDonald's, who knows. And I'm looking at him. I said, man, it looks good. That really looks good. And he goes, well, here, read this book. And it's probably one of Shelton, Natural Hygienic book or something like that. I can't remember. It's been so many years ago. And it just made total sense. No animal cooks their food before they eat it. Why do we cook our foods? The electrical properties of food versus the chemical properties. So all of this just started to make just perfectly sense. And I said, I got to try this ride. It's just my spirituality, of course. And I took it on. And then I kept finding a little bit about fruitarianism here and there. Johnny Love Wisdom talked about it. I think Carrington, one of them. There was one book I found on fruitarianism. You had the Arnold Ehret, of course, the fruitarian.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And his cases of stuttering and how he cured all those. And I'm going, I've got to go there, because it just makes sense that we're more frugivorish. Of all the species, obviously, we look more like primates than any of the other ones. So I'm going, I got to tackle this. So I went into a 6-month orange diet.
Wow.
Naval orange, 6 months. I'm telling you, the out-of-body experiences, I can't even tell you, because I got into Eckankar at that time. Well, the Eckmasters, if you want to ride, put your seatbelt on, because you talk about out of body. We're not talking about a little bitty out of body. You're talking about traveling to spiritual worlds, cities of jewels and lights. You're talking about worlds way beyond this one. Unbelievable ecstasy and joy. So just cool stuff.
Wow.
And being raw and being fruitarian, holy crap, I couldn't take it. I never slept. As soon as I laid down, I was out. And it was a wild ride. I had to stop. I had to slow down. I had to go to vegetables. I had to go to my salads because I started lecturing on out-of-body traveling, and how to eat right. Well, that was even more energy that I couldn't tolerate. I had to come down. I couldn't stay in my body anymore.
Wow.
Oh, I'm telling you, you can get so much energy, so much health, so much awareness that you got to balance out a little bit because it can take you out of there, brother. Everybody doesn't realize. They look at their physical bodies, and that's who they judge themselves to be. When you get a physical body, the nervous system like yours, it is so good that you don't feel like you're separate than your body. You just feel like you're the body, but you are not the body. And obviously, you two both have had out-of-body experiences to show you that you're not your body. You're only using this car, this bike while you're here.
Yeah.
How you tone it up, and you like nice bikes. So this is going to be your nice bike, and you can take it anywhere, and it'll take you places you've never been before.
Yeah.
Heights. Oh, yeah. No pain. You don't even feel you have it. When you get to the point where you don't even know you have a body, you're now arriving.
Yeah, cool. And did you lose your migraines through this fruitarian or orange fast, or had you already lost them before?
Oh, yeah, that went away within a few weeks. I had an Amish healer, an old Amish elder, and he had had migraines for 45 years, traveled the world everywhere to get headaches, $100,000, chelation therapies, out the butt, all the. I had them gone in 3 weeks.
Did you miss any of your diet that you started with right away, or was that a problem for you?
Not right away because that's where my focus was. It's kind of like when you pick up a new hobby or something, that's where you are. You're 100% into it. You're into racing or you're into golf. You're into it. That's where you are. You practice, you work. You work it, baby. And that's what I did. I worked it. I was excited. Yeah, once in a while. But the masters played with me with that. They played with me with foods and stuff like that. So I never really had the need to go back and have some of the gnarly stuff. Later on, as I got married for, say, the third time or so, and you get a mate that's not at your level of thinking, that is influential.
Yeah, you start losing, and it's not just your toxins. You start losing your friends, your partners, the people you thought, wow, it's amazing because, I always say to a lot of people, and even on my show, when what I would call myself a vegetarian, because I didn't know the difference as a young kid, although that I didn't eat a lot of dairy foods. But you think vegetarian's hard, people go, wow, you're a vegetarian. Then I was an athlete, wow, you're a vegetarian. And then you go, okay, wow, vegan's so much harder. Then you go raw food and you go, wow, raw food's so much harder and your world's getting a little smaller. You have less places.
And now you're a fruitarian?
Now you say, we're fruitarians. Whoa! And they go, goodbye.
I know.
Goodbye.
I know. I get that. But you know what? My whole thing has been God. And so it has taken me into worlds of cleanliness and purity and detoxing, not just physically, but getting control of the emotions in the mind. Man is lost in thought. So man is constantly thinking and desiring things, and he doesn't know what life is in the conscious state. Yeah. So I try to teach people to stop thinking, spend some time just watching things instead of thinking all the time. Start tapping into your greater awareness, and then things really start being fun.
Yeah.
It's not always fun when when you make this a battle. It's not fun. You might as well not even do it. Because you're not having fun. You want to have fun doing this because you feel better. The pain will come out. You start getting thinner. Some people want to be thinner. Those that are getting thinner, as they get that malabsorption fix, they start putting on muscle, like Ian, like we talked about earlier. So it's a process to get there. But as you start arriving and your train starts coming into the station, baby, you're a whole new being. You're awake. You're beautiful. You're pain-free and you're happy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, what you're really known for, I really would say maybe the only person in the world, unless it's someone that you've trained, is this lymphatic system information. And it's something we never hear about from doctors. We do a sauna every day. I have a little like squeeze machine because when I left the tour, I wanted to try to clean my lymphatic system because I had bought your book. But can you explain to the audience what the lymphatic system is and just basically how it works? Because I love the way you describe so mechanically everything.
Well, being a builder, you always, when you build a house, you always figure on your bedrooms, your living rooms, your kitchens, and you also figure on your bathrooms. How many bathrooms should I have? Most homes in the olden days only had one, or you walked out to it. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you having a couple of bathrooms is a good idea. Yeah. Maybe 3 or 4 bathrooms is a good idea, right? No one really goes to the kitchen to go to the bathroom.
No, hopefully not.
I know. But so what man didn't realize is that there is a sewer system in the human body that man never knew. Man thought that the human body was just a bunch of cells and blood. They didn't realize that there's a second fluid in the human body. They've known about it. They just call it interstitial fluid. But they've known about this interstitial fluid for time immemorial. Now, as we talked a little earlier, now they're considering the interstitial spaces maybe a new organ because they've never understood how does a body get rid of its byproducts, its metabolitic waste. In other words, waste from the cells. So if you back up for a minute and you say, okay, let's look at the human body very simplistically. The human body is exclusively made of cells. Try to build a house all of wood where your plumbing pipes are wood, your electrical cables are wood, everything's wood. Nothing would work, right? But God made a body neurologically. Everything is made of cells. It's amazing. Your organs are cells, your glands are cells, your nerves are everything's cells. But you have to take care of them. How do we feed them? How do we clean them? And that's why the spaces are around every cell you have. Every cell you have, whether it's bone, brain, heart, liver, has spaces. It's like us. You two are sitting separately. I'm sitting separately, and there's spaces between us. That's how we get to feed them, but how do we clean them? And that's what medical doctors have never understood. We have a whole massage therapy based upon medical thinking, which is a fallacy. There's a system in the body that's the largest fluid-based system of the human body, and it is not the blood. Blood is only 20% of this fluid that flows around your cells. What's 80%? Lymphatic fluids. These are your sewer fluids. These are your lipid fluids. These are your cholesterol fluids. And these fluids clean you. Let's say you had your bike accident and you had trauma to the back of your head, right? If your lymph system isn't working well, which yours wasn't, it couldn't clean it to repair, to fix you. Right. All the damage, all the acids and stuff that are in that tissue couldn't be cleaned away so you could rebuild those tissues. And that's the difference of someone from a traumatic accident that can walk away and someone that doesn't walk away. The inability of the body to remove the acids or the trauma, because most trauma and most metabolitic waste are acids. Mm-hmm. And the acid side of chemistry is inflammatory. The acid side of chemistry is your protein side of chemistry. It is your most corrosive side of chemistry there is. There's only 2 sides to chemistry. One is to build you, one breaks you down. There's the 2 sides, the only 2 in nature. This is dualistic worlds. So you have to have the side of chemistry that rebuilds, but you also have the side of the chemistry that breaks down, right? And acids are the byproducts. They break down. And this system gets rid of that. Well, this system includes lymph vessels, and you have lymph vessels everywhere. You have blood vessels. And the University of Virginia just found the lymphatic system in the brain 2.5 years ago. Isn't that amazing?
I know.
And they said they couldn't find the lymph vessels in cadavers. You had to be alive for them to see it, and that they piggyback the vascular system. Oh, man, there's questions now that's coming up in my field, like for me, like if you have your lymph vessel piggybacking your artery, is that because it's magnetically sucking the acids out? Because you have to understand that if your blood gets acidic, you have 3 minutes to live and you're dead duck.
Yeah.
Your
Right.
blood is alkaline. And if your blood gets acidic, you don't live. So, but people are eating acid-forming foods that causes acids to build up in the body on top of metabolitic waste.
Wow.
So all these acids, so most people are just one big acid.
Yeah.
And as you move to this other side of chemistry, foods that are designed for us as Homo sapiens, that's your fruit. Remember, Homo sapiens are islanders. Man has this idea that humans are paleo, that humans are caveman. Where did that come from? Yeah, well, that's the way we're taught. That's crap. If you go back and look at it, humans were islanders. We're primates. We're frugivores. We need fruit. And look at what happens when people go on fruit. Look at the Lou Gehrig's case I was talking about, or the man that parachute didn't open and he hit the water at 90 miles an hour. We take these quads and rebuild them, and they get out of their chairs.
With fruit.
With fruit. How can you rebuild a human body with just fruit? We proved it. We've got videos, and you guys are proving it out there all over the world. Cool stuff.
It's so cool. It's so great. And so can you tell them, like, how do you go about cleaning it, and where can that stuff go?
Okay, so here's the big deal to the lymph system. When we're talking about a sewer system, there has to be eliminative organs, right? There has to be a way that the body eliminates this. How do you get it out of you, right? All right, well, we know with that we poo-poo, that we have stool, but we know that's digestive waste. Well, how does the body get rid of 100 trillion cells waste? And that's through the kidneys and skin. Your urine, your kidneys are your secret babies. Those are the eliminative organs. Your right kidney eliminates the right side of your body, and your left. You don't have an extra kidney. In dialysis, they say you have an extra kidney. Give one up. You don't have an extra kidney. Your right kidney's for the right side of your body, and your left kidney and adrenals for your left side of the body. You don't get rid of them. They're your sewer system, eliminative organs. And as we were talking about earlier, what I discovered was that urine cannot be clearer. Urine must be cloudy. You must have goodies in your urine. You must see waste, metabolic waste coming out of your urine. And if you don't have sediment in your urine, you're not filtering.
Most people aren't filtering.
99% of the folk are not filtering.
And when you filter, Dr. Morse, there's lots of different things because you always show your chart. Do you have it there?
I do have.
Put it up just to show people what filtering looks like, because there's all different forms.
There's all different forms of filtration. But when you look at a cup of urine, filtration is going to be down here. You want to see sediment in your urine here. You don't want it clear. See, the more that you can find in the bottom here, the better off. You just don't want to have totally clear urine. It doesn't matter what the color is. And look, you can see some of the robust stuff in some of this urine here. Look.
Wow, that's crazy.
Does filtering ever get consistent where it's every day the same, you're getting stuff out? Because I can go from some of the photos you have where there's an inch of stuff on the bottom to nothing.
I wouldn't worry about that because we all suffer with that. It's up and down, up and down.
We're going to definitely talk about kidney filtering because it's so important in getting well. And so many people that I've seen on your show and your patients are doing everything. And if they can't filter, they're not getting better.
I can only tell you that as I've grown with this, it is so vital to filter. I don't know all the mechanics of filtration. I don't know if the pituitary affects filtration. I've asked Pat that a lot, and she's our medical doctor, it's an anatomy physiology professor. She doesn't know all what can affect filtration. Even though she's been an A&P professor for 15 years and a medical doctor. She, when I brought out the filtration of the kidneys, she called me from Washington State and said, you just answered questions that I've had all my life in teaching the lymphatic system.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, because they teach differently. And she said, this just made everything fit. And so now you're seeing slowly they're starting to find pieces of it.
But Dr. Morse, sometimes when I collect my urine, most times it'll look clear with no clouds or nothing, and then 3 or 4 hours later I go in, it's opaque. But it still doesn't ever get any sediment, but the whole thing goes cloudy. Yeah. Is that filtering?
Yeah, that is some filtering, and if you just let it sit, there should be some sediment. As it all filters down, there should be some sediment settling on the bottom of your jar.
After 24 hours, it doesn't settle.
Wow, then you're not filtering very well at all. See, so your symptoms are going to be eliminated to the degree you're filtering. Because remember, we talked about that earlier, and we've watched this for years now, that when you have tumors, if you're not filtering, we can't get rid of the tumors. When you're filtering, there comes the tumors, because the tumors are lymphatic. This is the lymph system. All what they call cancers and all this stuff is of the lymph system. Man's suffering comes from acidosis, comes from the lymph system. You clean up the lymph system, and we have never had anything you couldn't cure.
Yeah, so if someone's not filtering, but they're doing the fruit diet, because I see a lot of your videos, they're doing the fruit diet, they're doing the herbs, they're 14, well, kind of like me, I've been doing it, I'm 14 weeks, I'm not filtering that good, so I started doing some dry fast, in case the listeners don't know, that's no water or no food, and I usually do 38 hours, and then I filter.
Keep going.
So, but that's seemingly the only way I filter, but if I keep doing it, eventually I will, and if I do a 20-day grape fast or something, or a 30-day grape fast, that should push it another level, right?
Absolutely will. Absolutely will. And so people, when they listen to you, go, 20 days grapes? How in the hell can grapes get rid of tumors or pain? So what they don't understand is that there's only two sides of chemistry, and that the foods designed for the health of most vertebrates is alkaline ash-forming foods. You have two types of foods. You have either alkaline ash-forming foods or acid ash-forming foods. Your acid ash-forming foods are going to be your dried foods, your proteins predominantly, your pasteurized milks, your grains, your beans, things like this. This leaves an acid ash. When you leave an acid ash, that's what your blood's getting. So your blood is base. So when your acid ash, when this acid chemistry hits the blood, your blood now has to deal with this, because if it changes the pH of your blood, that's when you start to have some serious problems.
Right.
So the universities around the world discovered that there's a calcium buffering system, that the body steals calcium out of its basement connective tissue layers to bring that acid blood into a base balance. In doing that, after a while, you see bruising in the body, you see varicose veins, spider veins, cramping, you see all the things associated with the loss of calcium like that. And then, of course, you set up extreme acidosis in the body, and then life starts going downhill from there.
And one little clarification, because I know you often say pasteurized milk, but even raw milk is acidic because it's a protein, right? All these people are into healing powers of raw milk, but I know you disagree with that. But tell me your thoughts on that.
Okay, so raw milk is basically alkaline on most species, except for cats. Cats, the protein content's pretty high. We have a chart, and when you come to the class, we give you those charts and show them to you. But and I think they're supposed to be on our website. But it's a look at mother's milk, human mother's milk versus other milks, and it's startlingly different in many ways. But if you look at cow's milk, human's milk, monkey milk, the percentages are about the same. In other words, looking at mother's milk, your highest percentage is carbohydrate. That's essential. When you look at the vertebrates like your omnivores, there's your dogs, hogs, chickens, bears, your herbivores, your horses, your elephants, and all of those, rhinos and all that, your frugivores, your primates, and your humans. We all have, our milks are all carbon rich, number one, that's energy, that's vital. Your lipids are half of that, that's your fats, and your protein is less than half of that.
Yeah.
So where your percentage in mother's milk is about 7% carbon or carbohydrates, it's less than 1% protein. That's for babies that are growing. See, so the fallacy of the protein myth is huge.
It is huge.
Their kidneys, bodybuilders have lost their joints, created a rheumatoid arthritis all over the place.
And cow's milk is how much?
Cow's milk is about the same, but the percentage is much bigger in lipids and proteins than mother's milk in humans. They have a higher, I don't have it right in front of me, I can't remember, but the cow's milk is much higher in lipids and much higher in protein, but still with the same ratios. Lion's milk is low in carbohydrate. All right, that's number one in mother's milk, but the number third in cat's milk. What is the one thing cats do all the time?
Sleep.
sleep, no
Yeah,
energy.
yeah.
Believe it or not, but their carbon in their milks are very low.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
lipids are the highest because they're high protein eaters. And if you're going to eat a high protein diet, you need high fats, because fat is what neutralizes acids better than electrolytes, because you'll burn your electrolytes up night and day.
Interesting.
So-
So to end the raw milk thing, because it's higher in protein, then it's dangerous, but also very congesting and mucus forming.
The problem is that after age 2, most of us have lost lactase. You don't keep lactase all your life, because you're only supposed to drink milk for a few months before you're supposed to be weaned, at a year at the very most. The problem is most mothers are eating acid ash foods, and so their milk becomes acidic. Well, if your mother's milk is acidic, babies start getting colicky and mucus and all kinds of things, because when you eat acid ash foods, it causes mucus to build up in the body. And people get full of mucus, they're saying they can't breathe and talk like this and all kinds of stuff. Tumors in the lungs and all this. It's all from acid ash foods and milks that are acid ash. My God, the most mucus forming foods on the planet. You want to make a tumor in your body? Drink a lot of milk.
Yeah. Okay, I have I'm curious about this urine question. Someone who has a cancer, and even if they had a good diet, like my friend Ellen is a breast cancer survivor, and she would always, even when her diet was good, she would be peeing and testing her urine acid, and it would be acid, even so, but with no filtering, so acid.
But that's good, though.
Lloyd
That's good.
Lloyd too. All these years, he's peed acid, and everyone says, no, that's not good. But now that he's doing your protocol, and now that he's filtering, even with the filtered urine, when he has the thick stuff in the bottom, we do the dipstick, and it's alkaline.
Ooh, wow.
So why is it alkaline?
It should be acidic. It should be acidic. Well, he's eating a lot of alkaline foods probably, and it's doing that. But in my opinion, he's probably not filtering as good as he could, because it's my opinion that urine should always be slightly acidic. Your urine should always be in the 6s, because at the cellular level, these same acids are 3. So most metabolitic acids are 3 pH. Carbonic acid, phosphoric, all these acids are about 3 pH. That's Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper. I think Dr. Pepper's a little, but look at Gatorade. Gatorade's hotter than a Coke acidically.
Wow.
Gatorade's 2.65 according to the Minnesota School of Dentistry. So when you're going to drink Gatorade to hydrate, it's actually dehydrating you. Huge lies out there. Huge lies.
Yeah. So if someone was eating a high meat diet and was a cancer patient, and they test their urine and it's acidic, which is really common, and then they start changing their diet to a fruit diet and raw diet, and now they test their urine and they're alkaline, that just means they're foods.
No, here's the problem. It still means that they're agglomerated. It's just that you're seeing their electrolytes leaving. They're not hydrating at the level they need to. So this is common, though. When you start eating foods that are electrolyte rich, which is our foods, right? Fruits, berries, melons, vegetables, they're hydrating, but they're also the dominant of alkaline chemistry. So when you're not hydrating adequately, and you're so agglomerated, that's what you see. Your urine starts to turn alkaline. But let me tell you, it just takes time, but it'll start going back to the acidic side. And this time you'll get real you'll get real filtration this time. But the fact that it's acidic, just have her go, because she's just eating everything acidic, have her eat a raw diet and see if her urine goes alkaline. If it goes alkaline, she's not filtering well then.
Okay.
Because your urine should always be acidic, always. If it becomes alkaline, that shows you're not getting that ionization, you're getting that hydration that you want.
Yeah, so you're basically peeing out your
Right,
electrolytes.
you're basically peeing out your electrolytes. You're not hydrating.
And wouldn't that mean then you would have a lot of like parathyroid issues, because then you would be peeing out calcium and you would be having spasms and stuff like that?
That's a real possibility right there. People don't realize that one that you're talking about. But the parathyroid, if you're not utilizing calcium, it can become a free radical. So if you're taking calcium supplement, you bring up an excellent point, and I try to teach our people here the same thing. When you're taking calcium supplements and you're not utilizing, parathyroid hormone is low, you can create serious arthritis in you. I've had that. People walk in with serious stoned up sewn themselves up taking calcium supplements in an acidic move, and they're not utilizing the calcium. So you're right on with these things. Yeah, vital to get everything hydrated and up and utilizing and working. That's all I can say.
It's why spasms is one of the symptoms of a parathyroid gland that's weak, because you're pulling all the calcium out that can't be utilized. You're peeing it out. You're pulling it out.
Headaches, seizures. Spasms, bruising easy, cramping easy in the legs when you walk, growing pains for children that are trying to grow, and they get these, what the medical doctors call growing pains. How stupid. They're not getting enough utilization of calcium, so they get pain in their joints. I mean, it just goes on and on. Nerve pain, you get on and on and on and on when you're not utilizing calcium. Remember, the pituitary controls the parathyroid. So there's a lot to think about, but not a lot to think about. If you keep it simple, and we keep teaching, everybody will get it.
Yeah, it's so interesting how once you learn how the system really works and what's in charge of everything, you really feel hopeful that no matter what you have, you can fix, because you just have to look at the whole picture.
Well, that's the problem. When you come out of school, you're taught from other people's what they've learned. You never discover new things because you can't read other people's work and discover new things. You have to open your own consciousness awareness. You have to have an understanding that you are connected to the God. That's how you got here, and that you have a grander awareness, and that you can get into where this information is stored and bring this out. It's what I did with the kidneys and the filtration of the kidneys.
Last kidney question is, do you have any tips on someone who's doing the protocol, doing good work and not filtering? What are some little tricks that they can do to try to push that? Dry fasting we spoke about. Is there any
I tell you what, I've had people not filter for 6 months, on our programs. Yeah. So one, I like to work the neurolymphatic points related to the kidneys. That's on the back. There's a chart. These are the kinesiology, chiropractic points, that'll open that up. I like obviously the fruit, the astringent fruit, the kidney formulas. I use 2 herbal kidney formulas at one time now instead of 1. Sometimes I'll use a glandular at the kidneys. Now your bottom pressure is 55. So when you start getting too low diastolic, that's kidney weakness. So that means we want to build and strengthen the kidneys. So, I'm always on kidney formulas. Outside of that, holy crap, I tell you one thing I did is that one person had real bad adrenals, and I went heavily after their adrenals, and they started filtering from working on the adrenals. So we always obviously work with the adrenals since it's attached to the kidneys.
Right. And how much adrenal glandular?
Well, you know what? I don't keep you on glandulars long. I move away from them in about 2 months to our herbal adrenal, but I use licorice a lot because that's what brings your blood pressure up. It's anti-inflammatory. It'll help the nerve pain. Licorice is great for so many things in the human body. It's a blood purifier. It's incredible.
And what, like a whole dropper of licorice 3 times a day?
Yeah, or a half a dropper. Start with a half a dropper full, but your blood pressure is so low, Lloyd, you could use probably a whole dropper full. That'll give you an immediate bump up. We never use licorice in high blood pressure because it'll bring your blood pressure up. Yeah,
right.
So that'll be helpful. Yeah. If you're going to use the glandulars, use the 400. Now, you could use 2 of them. You could use 2-3 times a day, but then come off of that after a couple of bottles and use the licorice. In other words,
and I know, look, I'm a vegan, and I know you ask your patients, and I know how you feel about glandulars. Me too. I usually do homeopathic sarcodes, which is the homeopathic glandular. I know they're not quite as potent, but it's a good middle ground for patients that don't want to take the glandulars, and I try never to really use them because I am a true, vegan that doesn't want to do that. But I see so many sick people, and sometimes it's all you've got. It's all that's left.
Exactly right. I mean, these are tools of the trade, unfortunately. And when man wakes up and he gets his health together, he'll quit eating animals, and then that'll all correct itself. But the big one is the parathyroid. That's the one in the glandular side, because I don't know what herbs are for the parathyroid gland. When you study herbology, that's left out of there. I assume that since all the berries are the glandular, are the glands, that any berry would be good. Just like saw palmetto is good for the thyroid and the prostate, it would also be good for the parathyroid. But I don't know that. So I do use a glandular for the parathyroid and often for the kidneys and the adrenals initially, because just like you just real low blood pressure. And the more you get your kidneys to filter, your blood pressure could come down even lower. See, that's the other problem. Is that as you get things healthy and you start removing all these proteins and acids out of the body just kind of goes into a more relaxed mode. Pain comes out, things come out of there.
All right, well, let's talk about our favorite subject, food, fruit. So I know you've talked about it before, but I've promised my listeners for months I was going to try to get you on my show. And everybody that listens, when I tell them anything, they go, but I thought fruit feeds cancer. Or I thought, isn't that too much sugar? What, you're eating fruit? That's so dangerous. You shouldn't just eat fruit. So you need to help me dispel this myth.
That's funny how that is. How fruit suddenly became the bad boy. Fruit causes this. Fruit caused, what's his name's death there, Facebook guy or whatever.
Steve Jobs.
It's like, give me a friggin' break. This is, man will do anything. You think about this. Man will do stool implantation, urine therapy, drinking turpentine is the end thing now. Man has lost the planet now. Man's left the planet, gone lower. Well, here's the thing. I give this analogy because it's a very simple analogy. Fruit tastes sweet, like water feels wet. And yet water is simply 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen. So what makes it feel so wet? See, and that's the supreme one. That's the divine who created all of this. You just manipulate chemistry a little bit, and you have a different texture, a different taste, but it's still simple sugar. There's only 3 simple sugars in nature outside of the ribose and the other simple sugars in the body. Basically, food simple sugars, you have fructose, which is the fruit sugars, your glucose, which is your vegetable sugars, and galactose, which is your milk sugars. These are all, milk has simple sugar just like all the other food-based for the vertebrates. When you get into complex, if you look at this real close, even your omnivores, your dogs, hogs, bears, and chickens, they're not designed for complex chemistry either, and proteins either. National Geographic started with this. They wanted us to do a new show called The Great Carnivores, and they promoted it like crazy. The Great Carnivores, and the first segment was the Great Grizzly Bear. And that was going to be their first show, and it's going to be the pilot for this new series. They only did the pilot and never finished it. And the thing that was interesting to me is that the grizzly bear is not a carnivore. He's an omnivore. And when they were done with the show, only 7% of an older grizzly bear's diet is protein. 7%.
Wow.
That doesn't make him a carnivore. 65% of a grizzly bear's diet, sage grass. Wow. Come on, man. And it's like, but this is how misinformation is assimilated, right?
Right.
You look at cows, look at hoof and mouth, look at all this. You know how that came about? Man decided that these animals needed more protein. So what they did, they started taking cattle with Down syndrome, pigs, hogs, and grinding them up and feeding them back to animals that are not meat eaters at all. So this, because of the extensive length of the GI tract, the multiple stomachs, the putrefaction created extreme acidosis in these animals and created these type of conditions. Extreme toxicity and acidosis. Man does not get it. And it's because the AMA has fed this lying machine that is a top killing machine on the planet. If you want to save your life, you'll get out of medical thinking and you'll start looking at how God made things. Look at the natural laws. Look at the laws of chemistry and physics, because I base everything that we do on chemistry and physics. We talk about chemistry all the time.
So the idea of fruit being bad for our cells, it's exactly the opposite of this lie. And what about the cancer? What about, that's the one I get. That's ridiculous.
Every cell in your body gets its ATP, ADP, and AMP. This is your energy levels, your adenosine triphosphates, your adenosines, right? It gets the triphosphate, that's your energy mechanism, through the carbons, through the sugar. Carbon is the energy mechanism of the universe, right? So we need that to run on. Every cell in your body requires it. So yes, sugar, every sugar. This is carbon. Carbon feeds every cell, including cancer cells. What is a cancer cell? A cancer cell is a damaged, normal, healthy cell. How do you damage a cell in your body? Which side of chemistry does that? Acids. It's the only two sides of chemistry. If all your good chemistry is the alkaline, there's only one other side. In chemistry, they're corrosive, so we know it's the acid side. Where does these acids come from? Cell metabolism. You're not eliminating metabolitic waste out of the body. And when your diet is high on acid ash foods, your high protein diets, there goes your kidneys, there goes your colon. So now we have kidney failure because of the high protein diets. We have colon cancers. They were number one for generations because of the high protein diets. So now that we've damaged our kidneys, now it's genetics, and now we have a mess. And now kids don't filter. Look at what people are born with now. So once you get the kidneys to filter and you repair, your life is night and day.
So the sugar, we need the sugar to feed our cells. So when people say, well, I can only eat this fruit or that fruit because I have cancer, they're starving all their cells.
Exactly. So if you starve your body for sugar, you hit it right on the head. You're starving every cell in your body for it. And the body will then turn to its fat. And then once you burn all your fat and you get skinny as a rock, it turns to your muscle. Because carbon is essential. If you're lost up in Alaska and you've got a 6-foot snow and you're locked in the cabin and you can't even get out to get your wood to fill your fireplace, guess what? You're going to burn your furniture and anything you can, your cabinets and everything, and then you're going to start burning your walls because you're going to have to have heat, right? So the same thing. If you starve your body for sugar, it'll break down your muscles and tissue to get it. Fact. So you can't do that. It's asinine to think that. You have to understand what's damaging my cells and how do I fix that. And if my cells are only atypical, you can convert them back to healthy cells. If they're cancer, your body's going to take them to the lymph nodes and macrophages are going to eat them up and you're done.
People should quit worrying about that and worry about how to get good fruit instead of if they should eat fruit, because that's another problem is we don't grow a lot of good fruit in most of America, or maybe in the world.
In the world. If you're diagnosed with cancer, that simply means that your cells are being damaged by acids, or you're forming tumors, which is lymph stagnation. These are lymphomas because they're of the lymph system. They don't understand this system. You would never take, of course, you by now know how to probably put your bike together backwards and forwards, but you would never take your bike in. When you had this noise, you heard this noise, some metal hitting metal, you wouldn't take it to a mechanic that says, yeah, I'd have to tear it apart to see what that is. Or a mechanic that says, you know what, your piston is rubbing against you're gonna take it to the guys that know. You would never be treated or have your bike treated or taken apart with someone you were scared about. So all these people go to medical doctors, have no clue to what cancer is. They named it because it's a damaged cell, and only one can tell you that, which is a pathologist, and they tell you have this cancer. They can't explain it to you, and then they treat it with hotter acids. So they are the killing machine of all killing machines on this planet. Yeah. But when you understand the Rockefellers, their connection to the World Bank and the World Order, and you understand all this, then maybe people will understand what's going on at another level.
Yeah, and the cancer is just a degeneration.
That's the degeneration.
Right? It's just a degeneration. Before that, it's a pain.
Exactly.
Or it might have been a lipoma, or it might have been a spasm, or it might have been a tiredness, but it turns into a cancer as it just keeps getting more chronic acidic.
Acids are not just going to sit there and look pretty. They're going to sit there and chew on you. When the word inflammation is being invoked in your world, that's acidosis. And inflammation is your body's immune response to acidosis. And if you don't fix the acidosis, you can treat the inflammation. That's your own body's response. That's what medical doctors do, is try to get your body to stop responding to what you did to it. And that just puts you into deeper harm's way because none of it fixes the cause of the problem. You must go after the cause.
Well, as a homeopath, I understand that, right? But how long does it take somebody that maybe is in a cancer state right now or had a little tumor, and it doesn't matter if it's breast or toe or head or throat, it's all the same condition, but is this a few year process of eating fruit?
No, if you dig into this right, most small tumors should be gone 4 to 5 months. Bigger tumors are going to take you up to 6 months. Just depends how much is involved. It could take you up to
And it depends how they're filtering their kidneys, right? That's really the biggest factor.
Biggest factor of them all. Some lady in Canada once, she had had multiple tumors and surgeries, and then she read our material. She realized now what her problem is. She said, hit me hard. I said, no, I can't hit you hard with lymphatic formulas until I get your kidneys to filter. Because here's another thing. If you go after your lymphatic system and ignore your kidneys, you'll make your tumors grow bigger.
And what about pain? If you go after your lymphatic system and your kidneys, but you're not filtering, won't that person's pain get worse?
It can. Now, here's another thing with the pain. When you get chronic pain and you start astringing the body, it can hurt worse. And it's only because we're not getting into we're trying to get hydration, but we're also astringing at the same time. So you can get a little pain with that. It's not you're getting worse. It's just we're astringing, we're hydrating, and we're pulling and drawing on you. So you can have a little pain in the chronic level sometimes with that. But getting your kidneys to filter, and getting your skin to sweat, and getting everything opened up. Remember, your skin is your third kidney, your largest eliminative organ. And if you're not sweating, where is that going? Because your skin eliminates gases. You eliminate a lot of your gases through your skin.
Yeah, so filtration.
It's sad how sick we are in this country and how bad the AMA and all of these governmental agencies are not helping us at all. It's just really, it's pathetic.
Same thing.
The only good thing is that we realize it and many people don't. That's where I feel grateful and blessed, is that we realize that we're fed lies. We know the truth. We preach the truth to people who want our suggestions or our help, and it's all you can do in a world full of lies.
Because you guys are more spiritual. You've had out-of-body experiences. You're more spiritual. You're more awake. And those that are sleeping, if they don't wake, it's suffering. That's all there is. It's not a good time to be asleep on this planet. The governments, just like you said, Lloyd, the governments have been taking us for a ride like nobody's business. Look at what is being unfolded in America of the corruption in our government. And I've been through the court system and federal court system a lot, and these judges are corrupt as you can get. We have the most corrupt judicial system. I mean, there's others in the world that are pretty bad, no question. But if you think our judicial system is bar none, you better rethink that.
Dr. Morse, part of it is like, it just, I guess the information comes to you when the person's ready, and we all are on these different paths, but it's like you said, you just have to, in a world of violence and corruption, you just have to live the light in the way that you know how to do it.
This is a warring planet, guys, and you came here to bring the love and to try to shift it, and I did too, and we're all working together to do it. It's all we can do, because pretty gnarly out there. I mean, look, some of these people are so lost. They're walking around like goons. They don't even know why they're walking around.
I always have this theory that who they are has become their toxic overload instead of their own nature.
And that's caused by the foods that they've eaten all their lives.
Do you know that just this week, Anthony Bourdain, that food guy? So look, I have this theory, because Lloyd would turn on the TV and I would go, I can't watch him kill a seal and eat it. And
this is what killed him. The toxins, the mercury.
I believe he ate so much out of the ocean, killing it and eating all that horrible, toxic, dirty, mercury-filled.
He was a big smoker.
Yeah, and drinker. Big drinker.
Now look at this. Okay, so he was a little tall. That's pituitary. He was gaunt and depressed. Do you know he was a depressed man? So
parathyroid.
Yeah! There you go, baby. See, we can fix them all like that. But how about his buddy? His buddy is Andrew Zimmerman or whatever it is that does the other show. He eats everything. Can you imagine how many worms these people have in them? I would love to deworm that Andrew guy. He eats everything raw and nasty. I'm telling you, that's,
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So I want to know one other thing about, let's get back to the subject of fruit for a minute, because the quality is not good. And I know you say if the fruit is acidic, then, it's a problem. But what do people do? Like my friend in Germany, what do? They don't get good fruit. Do they throw it away? Do they let it try to sit and ripen? Or what can they do?
You seek the best you can. If you have to go to green drinks, you go to green drinks. You do the very best you can to find the fruit that's as ripe as you can. That's the problem. Fruit has to be ripe. And a lot of people don't know what good fruit tastes like. Here's a good example about a pineapple. Very few people have had a plant ripe pineapple. What a huge difference. How about peaches? A peach off of a tree, ripe off a tree. My peach tree just gave forth tons of.
I saw the video on your trees. I can't believe how good your garden is. I'm going to try to plant 6 trees here on the property.
So you just got some peaches on your tree now?
Oh, well, we've just polished them up. Apple trees are busting, but the bees and the animals are getting them. I've only had a few apples. My mango trees got burnt, but I have some of the biggest mango trees you've ever seen. They're the Valencia Prides. Oh my God. We're all going to have to just grow. We're going to have to get some farmers' heads turned on differently. We're going to have to change our culture. We're going to have to realize that our diet is our happiness, is our joy, is our flexibility, is also our pain, our stiffness, our tightness, and our unhappiness.
The hardest thing for me about fruit is we live in LA and we have great farmers market. We get pretty good fruit considering to the rest of the country. And we know our farmers there at the market, what they grow, how they grow. They're all organic. Some even higher than organic. They do more the biological farming.
But you're in LA. Isn't there a little bit of a cloud over LA?
Yeah, I know.
I can see that cloud from Las Vegas. Are you kidding? You guys have this toxic friggin' cloud hanging over you. Holy crap.
I know. And it was worse. It was so much worse when I was younger.
Was it really?
Oh, yeah. It was terrible. You couldn't see the mountains.
Oh, my God. Well, we have a lot of the rock and rollers, who's new, they come to us, and they tell me about LA and how bad it was.
The only good news is we get really good fruit and we have good weather. Life is what you make of it. So eat fruit and be happy.
That's it, and nothing tastes so good as fruit. What tastes good? I mean, okay, so I eat a piece of kale or I eat a tree-ripe peach. Let me see. Let me take a second to determine which tastes better for me.
Okay, but I have to tell you that we both have loved fruit, but even 7 years ago, 4 days a month, we did this thing called a fruit cleanse. For 4 days a month, we ate only fruit in a row, 4 days in a row. So we've been experimenting with this fruit thing, not even before we found you, right? But like as much as I love fruit, and I guess it's because I'm more of a salt craving person than I am a sugar. I never was a sugar craving person. So I go and I'm like fine for breakfast, fine for lunch, and I'm not even hungry, but there's something in me that says, oh my God, I need a salty crunch.
Which gland is dropping in the afternoon?
Adrenals.
Right on. Salt cravers are adrenals. Every time. They're craving salt. Always find kidney and adrenal problems in them. Always. Work more on your adrenals then, work more on those babies, maybe with a little licorice. What's your blood pressure?
It's on the low side, I would say. I think in my paperwork I sent to you, it was 102 over 59.
Yeah, I'm not looking. She didn't give me your paperwork. She just gave me a copy of your eyes.
Okay, well, we filled out the whole questionnaire for you.
I'll look at that and fill all of that out.
Okay, cool. And then when people take your herbs, when they're on the protocol, let's say they have 7 bottles of the tinctures and a few, I know there's capsules, but let's just say the tinctures. I had a question from Ellen, my friend. She wanted to know if she could put all the tinctures in one big bottle and then dose from one big bottle. And if you did, how would you do it?
Well, for an example, Brian Adams. He, old rock and roller guy, good old friend of mine. He travels the world over. And what he does, he puts all the tinctures into one bigger bottle. And then however many different, say you put 7 tinctures into one, right? Then you are going to take 7 dropperfuls out of that. Full for each bottle of one you put in there. But you want to really shake it really good and get that to buddy up together.
Would it be as effective, do you think, if you had the choice to do them individually?
I think it matters because it's all down the hatch, baby. I really don't. And the consciousness of these things, they know right where to go. That's the neat thing about them. They're specific for specific tissues in the body. So herbs know right where to go. The herbs were created for diseases. Diseases is man-made. That's medical bullcrap. There's a cause and effect is what rules our world. And when you go throwing out disease crap and stuff like that, and they don't even know what causes them, as autoimmune this, autoimmune that, they can just treat them now. That's where you get into trouble.
So doing it that way is maybe a good way to recommend for clients? Because it seems like some of them say, 3 times a day makes it too difficult.
If they can do it 2 times a day, if you have one like that that's real bad, and they can do it twice a day, okay.
But versus that or putting it all in one bottle.
Put it
would you
all in
tell
one
them to do
bottle,
it?
but you have to take out, or you can measure it out in spoonfuls. I think Brian uses teaspoonfuls.
1 dropper full is a
I
teaspoon.
think
right?
so, something like that.
And then I wonder if you could speak a little bit how much of the percentage of getting well is diet and how much is the herbs and the other stuff, because I think people all want the magic herb, the magic pill, but they don't want to commit to doing the hard journey of getting well by eating fruit. They say, I could never do that. That's too hard. I can't believe you guys are eating only fruit.
You know what it boils down to, though? It boils down to how bad do you like to suffer? That's why it boils down. That's why you're doing it, Lloyd. How bad do you like to suffer? Because let me tell you, you'll change your mind. If you suffer a bunch, you'll change your mind. If you can't get anybody to help you and you're in a lot of pain and suffering, let me tell you, that will change you. Sometimes it's what it takes to change people. They don't want to change. They don't want to grow spiritually.
Right.
And so, belly up because you're getting ready for a hard one.
I got one question about my feet. So when I'm sitting like now, is it the myelin sheath that my leg is rubbing on the chair that causes my feet to get more numb and hurt more?
That or you're getting pinched in the lower back there.
He's not from tests. They show no pinch in his lower back.
If you're not getting pinched anywhere, then it's pure atrophy. In other words, you're too acidic around those areas and you're just decaying the nerve endings and stuff. And that's rebuildable, of course. Or you're getting a swelling. You ever get swelling like in your back and you get numbness down your fingers? Your lymph, when your lymph swells, and you're seeing that in pressures in the head and stuff like that, when your lymph swells, it can shut off nerve flow all the time. If it shuts off blood flow, you're in trouble. That's why blood tends to be a little deeper, because when the lymph swells, things get hard and you're stiff, and that will shut off nerve flow down the arms or anywhere. So that's why the lymph system is always present in neurological problems, and including neuropathies, but also the acidosis. You just turn that around. I can tell you, neuropathies, I've never failed in any neuropathy case. Now, here's the case. Now, this is a MS case. She's advanced, 43-year-old girl. They brought her to me in an ambulance. They brought her on a stretcher, and she is about 3 inches thick, 42 years old. She was so stiff, she couldn't even turn her head to say, hi, Robert. So I said, what's going on with you, honey? She said, advanced MS. Oh, my God. So I put her on just fruit. Now, you asked me, what's the number one thing? Diet. Your number one thing. Diet, not supplements. Diet, number one. I put her on fruit. Only fruit. 2.5 months from a prone, solid, stiff position. 2.5 months. She's wheeling herself and she's feeding herself. Now, just fruits, berries, and melons, okay? Now, I looked at her. This was about 20-some years ago, and I looked at her and I said, honey, you're so skinny. You're only this thick. Your arms are just like little doll's arms. I said, I want to put some muscle on you. I want to give you some green drinks and maybe a salad a day. And she had a caregiver. And I said, can you fix that for her? Yes. I started her on a green drink and a small little salad a day. Guess what happened to her? She went back to not being able to move. She went back to not being able to move or anything anymore.
Wow.
That energetic difference between the angstroms of vegetables and that of fruit is about 3,000 to 4,000 angstroms. That's huge neurologic, huge. But look at the difference between a horse and an elephant in their ability to create a skyscraper, and the difference between a silverback ape and his ability to create tools, and the Homo sapiens' ability to build the skyscrapers. That's nerve power. That's energy power. Man doesn't realize that he's being dumbed down by the very foods he's eating. You said it earlier, Lloyd. It's the foods that they're eating that's dumbing them down because there's no energy in them. And your nervous system requires energy.
So, Dr. Morse, when people eat fruit and they get this horrible burn, because my friend Ellen, she's still, even 2 or 3 months after eating fruit now, she's still having that like terrible fruit burn. So I've got her on slippery elm powder, and that's that takes care of it. But what is that?
In the wall. Remember, most of this IBS, Crohn's, and all this stuff is interstitial. That's in the wall. A lot of this GERD, a lot of this stuff is a lot worse than they can even imagine because it's interstitial burning outwards. So she just got to keep working with her that way. Keep getting the kidneys to filter, because you remember what you're after. You're after those interstitial spaces in the stomach, everywhere. Everywhere is interstitial. You're after those because that's where the acidosis develops. That's where the swelling develops, is all around the cells. That's where the fattiness comes in, fatty livers and stuff like this. It's all acidosis, same thing. It shows you that how the body's using lipids to fight acidosis.
Yeah, because she has a cholesterol ring.
There you go, see?
And these fruits that I know you monofruit a lot, meaning all watermelon, all grapes. Does that kick up the notch of detox faster? And does it open the kidney door faster?
I would think so. I don't know about the kidney door, but when you can go down to one food, mono eating. Now, most animals are mono eaters. I did see one female orangutan pick 2 fruits. She climbed 2 trees, picked 2 fruits. She's a domesticated orangutan. She sat down right in front, put the fruit right in front of her and picked up one fruit and ate it, and then picked up the other fruit and ate it. Most other animals are mono eaters. They only eat one thing at a time. That way it digests better, it's absorbed, everything is better. I used to push the rainbow salad, just fill them full of colors and beauty, get all that chemistry and stuff. I don't anymore. When you get more spiritually awakened, it can become confusing to enter different frequencies in the body at different levels. It's hard to explain, but mono keeps you, I don't know what it is, more on point, more powerful, more focused. I don't know how to explain it. It affects you on other levels.
This question that I have is, when we're doing the Heal All tea, and I know you've invented that tea for women with gynecological cancers or HPV or whatever, but would that help? So many people have, like me, this transverse colon, either sulfur or chronic stuff. Would it help to do a larger enema? Would it get up to the transverse colon? And do you think that could help that?
You could. You could definitely implant, especially if you're having problem in the colon. Remember, this is interstitial, though, and the kidneys are the doorways to that. This is why the GI broom. If I can astringe, draw on that wall to hopefully do some drawing action to reach interstitially, to draw something through the bowel wall so we can expectorate that way through the stool to help give some relief, because remember, the more acidic that bowel wall gets, the more malabsorption, the more less pliable, so peristalsis is more difficult, more constipation. So it's a big, and remember, the condition of the colon is about the same as the condition of the small bowel. And most absorption of nutrients is small bowel issue. And you can't use colonics to get into the small bowel.
That's true. So could you take more than, I know you do a capsule and a tincture with the protocols, but could a person do more kidney tinctures and see if they can get their kidneys moving faster, if they could afford
If it's me, I'm going to do it. If I can afford it, I'm going to do it. I think you're getting the point, is that if our kidneys are not filtering, we're in trouble. And look at the dialysis and look at the kidney failure. It's everywhere now. All these young people are in kidney failure all over the place. These are very important organs that have been missed and not been talked about because they don't understand their full needs. It isn't the blood that's man's problem. It's the lymph fluids, which is a system, 4-5 times bigger? That's huge.
That's what's been upsetting me lately, is how much younger and younger the children are coming out of their mothers, and they've got cancers and they've got everything already. And like you say, it's all from what the mother's eating pretty much.
I go back to that 9-month-old that just had the cancer tumor in the eye, and they were going to take out this little 9-month eye. And somehow the parents got a hold of us, and we got the tumor out before they removed her eye.
It's so sad what they're doing when there's such a way to take the body back to health. And another thing that I see a lot, because I've been taking pictures of everybody's eyes that come over because I'm trying to learn, but a lot of people have sulfur. And until I met you, I was taught by everybody that sulfur is so good. DMS.
Yeah.
So I used MSM in my practice. I told people, can you speak a little bit about, because you're one of the only people I've ever met that tells you that sulfur's bad and not to take anything with sulfur in
Let me
it.
tell you, you know what? I can't even remember how I discovered it either. But when we see the orange, I've always wondered what that orange is in all these people's eyes. What the hell chemical is that? And then I don't know how it all came to pass. We either had, because it'll come out in the stools just like you see it in your eye. There's no color changes. It'll come out and it'll make your stool turn all orange. Well, man has used antibiotics, and medical doctors have used antibiotics for everything. And the problem is that's killed people's lymph nodes, bacteria in their lymph nodes. So that's another problem that you might have. See, here's another problem that you might have, Lloyd. Remember your lymphatic rosary? If you can't get these acids, these 3 pH acids systemically at the cell level, you can't get these 3 pH acids to those lymph nodes so that bacteria can break them down to 6, you're going to feel 3 pH. That's Coca-Cola.
Yeah, you're going to
You need that bacteria to break that 3 pH and bring it up to 6, or you'd be peeing on your knees if you didn't have that. You'd be peeing 3 pH out, and you don't want to pee 3 pH out. That's like cystitis or nephritis. I mean, where you're not breaking down anything. You're full bore 3 pH acids.
But it's interesting that some, like he doesn't have any sulfur, and some people have sulfur, some don't, and some don't take antibiotics.
Sulfur is, I learned how bad sulfur was by watching the History Channel and the story of Charles Goodyear, who his rubber tire.
Oh, right.
Remember that? Rubber. He couldn't get this rubber to get hardened to make tires out of it. And he tried to sell his product, and he finally went back to the lab, and he just thought maybe try sulfur drugs. What got in his mind about that? And it did the job. It hardened the rubber. So when you see people with high sulfur, those people have been having a lot of antibiotic use. Well, the one thing we discovered, it is an aphrodisiac to the fungal community. And fungus leaves uric acid, which is hotter acid than 3. So now you have a little pinprick acid building up all through you. You have fungus all through you. It messes with your mind. It messes with everything, your sugars. I mean, it's a mess. And it makes the bowel wall hardened, and it makes gassy, bloaty problems. Everybody gets gassy, bloaty with all this sulfur in them. They get distended abdomens and everything else. When I started, I've been doing eyes for 50 years. When I first started them, I didn't know what the orange was.
Yeah, I bet. That's a great discovery because, I know in German Iridology, they don't believe in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but now when I teach my students, I'm talking to them like this and I'm looking in their iris and I'm telling them, okay, now you need to turn a little bit.
Yeah, I do that with my friends at the racetrack too. And they go, Lloyd, what the hell are you looking at?
So Dr. Morse, I had this client last week and I know that he had a colon cancer and I'm looking in his eyes and I'm seeing, whoa, his intestinal ring has got in his blue eyes, but you see all this either brown or sulfur, right? I thought it was sulfur. And I'm thinking, wow, so I'm so into people's eyes now. But sometimes you meet people and they'll tell you, I haven't ever done any antibiotics or vaccinations. And then you see sulfur in their eye. And I wonder what that's from.
I will say to you that most of these kids are getting their sulfurs from their mothers. I tell you what, I've looked at this for a lot of years. And when I see sulfur in babies, I see sulfur in mamas.
Yeah, here's our boy.
Oh, hi, boy. Oh.
That's Lucky Luke. His birthday's today,
is
too.
He? He's got the M on his forehead.
Yeah, for Morse. He'll be our Morse mascot.
Oh, there was America's Got Talent just came back on, and they had a lady that trains cats. And Simon was going, I don't know about cats. You can't train cats. But she trained her cats. And the cats are going across the rails and everything else.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So I know you gotta go, but I just couple little eye questions. When you see like just little black holes, degenerative spots in someone's iris, that's not good. How long does something degenerative?
This is another friend of ours.
Not our eyes, but when you see like a degenerative black.
I mean, it's a black,
like a hole in the eye.
Scary. Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but how long does something like this take to look better in the eye
It's a good
itself?
question,
she's old. She's 81 years
Well,
old.
you know what?
That-
Someone at that age, it doesn't matter whether they can regenerate those levels at that age, although an 81-year-old can probably regenerate quicker than a 5-year-old because of the genetics and all that stuff. I'm going to tell you, some of these older people are strong like horses. You can get them up in their
Yeah,
hundreds.
she's got good genes.
Oh, yeah, I've got them up in their hundreds.
Hey, she studied with Dr. Jensen and
Oh, you got to fix them.
Dr. Jensen was her family doctor.
What?
And he told her when she
He
was
told her.
14, he told her, you need work on your adrenals.
when she was 14.
When she was
my
14.
God.
And she's been a vegan for 50 years.
And now she's questioning her diet and her things that she's done forever because she's been going allopathically
Work
lately.
on her.
What happened was she got a melanoma on her toe and she
Got her toe off.
What?
because she got
Are
scared.
she
you
got scared.
serious? We could have pulled that right off with black salve. Look at that crap.
We got her on your protocol
Oh, good,
now.
good.
And
But she showed me some of Dr. Jensen's letters he wrote her all
Oh
typed
my
up.
God.
It's so
You
cool.
know
Yeah, it's
what?
very cool.
She ought to just jump in this and enjoy it and have some fun at her
Yeah.
age and get her body regenerated. She can live up to 100 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has good genes. Even though she has some degenerative spots, she has some good genes.
See, Jensen wasn't a vitalist. That was his problem. Had Jensen been a vitalist, a raw
we were going to ask you about why his diet was so crappy.
But why wasn't he a vitalist? Why?
he didn't learn from his buddy. His buddy was N.W. Walker, and he didn't learn from him. If you look at his Health Valley stuff, you see the raw, and I was into it too. After I came out of the woods as a fruitarian, believe it or not, I opened up a health food store. That's when my health went back down because I had raw milk cheeses, raw milk yogurts. Raw milk's good for you, right? I mean, nuts, full of nuts is good for you, right? So all of these things that were supposedly good for you, I'm eating like crazy. And I'm starting to feel worse and worse, more congested. I'm going, wait a minute. I felt so good on my fruit. What's happening? We learn.
Yeah.
We learn.
Too bad Dr. Jensen didn't have it all together.
I
though.
know. I tried, but you know what? He couldn't do it. He was so set in his ways. Sometime I'll tell you his diet and stuff and that sort of thing and show you what it was. And it just, he couldn't come out of it, but he didn't understand the fruit. You know, sometimes you get too much knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, when we come down, if you have a little moment, we'll do an interview on iridology and we'll talk about Dr. Jensen.
Yeah, let's do that. That
would
fun.
be cool. And then the really very last thing, I just want to ask you a recommendation if I want to do an herbal training, online herbal training, because I can't leave my home and go to a school somewhere. Which do you have one you would recommend for me?
Online. I don't know any online anymore. Try the Dominion. They probably have gotten online. They're a pretty tough school, but they're a Canadian school. It's called Dominion.
Okay. And the Christopher one, they do it. I think they do it online.
Well, that's plenty then. Do the Christopher one because I like his course. His course works pretty nice. Just do his work. Knowing that herbs are not used for diseases because man made that concept up.
Right.
Herbs are used for body parts.
Right.
And that's even better still because you got herbs for the liver, herbs for the spleen. That's what you want. You want herbs for body parts. That's what the body is. You got herbs for the lymph system, herbs for the blood, herbs for the organs, glands. Ooh, I love it. Not herbs for diseases. That's man.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we're going to let you go. Just tell the listeners 3 quick tips, just off the top of your head, that they should do to start their detox.
All right. Get excited about going on a raw food program and excited about getting your body super healthy. The other tip I would suggest is play with this. Stop thinking. Stop desiring.
Yeah.
In other words, take a week off in your life and become the observer. Just watch. Just watch things. If a thought comes in, stop it.
That's a hard one.
It's a hard
one.
That's
the hardest one.
It's a hard one, but start observing as opposed to thinking. Don't chase your thoughts, and you will see a whole new world opening up to you. Third, be happy. Get some flowers. Be happy.
Yeah, I was going to say that to you. You need to take more breaks. You work too hard.
We love you so much, but I can't tell you more than that, how much we're filled with gratitude for everything you do.
Guys.
Thanks,
So
thanks,
thanks, Dr.
Doctor.
Morse, for taking your time today, and I'll see you in October.
See you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. Love you guys.
Thank you. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I can say every time I hear this man speak. And you know, I interviewed him on my birthday, and I can tell you, Lloyd and I were both so pumped up all day, really. It's just like he puts this fire in your cells. It's so amazing. He's truly an earth angel, true love and light, and a true healer. Do you guys know how much he gives away for free and how many people he helps via his YouTube channel? And thankfully, he has thousands of followers who have learned this method, thank God, so they can carry on his work. Without him, we would still have no real understanding of the lymph system and how to detoxify it and why it is this system that is giving us all the so-called diseases. I have said to you guys many times, there are no diseases. It's just toxicity, and Dr. Morse agrees, but he goes on to say toxicity and acidosis. And then he says toxicity equals acidosis, and toxicity equals inflammation, and inflammation equals acidosis. So in the end, you can see it's all about toxins and acidosis because our lymph systems are so compromised, and the detox channels to help clean them out, which are the kidneys and the skin, are equally compromised. So we're really falling down the ladder of health. In addition, people's adrenals are practically gone these days, and many moms in such a weak state of adrenals with high levels of toxicity in their lymph system are having kids, and then these kids start their life with this high level of toxicity and the weak level of adrenal glands. Oh my gosh, we're at an all-time low of human DNA expression with our kids being born today. We have to do something, you guys. We have to try to turn this around. One thing we have to learn and take it very seriously is that detoxifying is not just a fad or a week-long fast. It's a lifestyle. It's a choice we must make. In my opinion, it's now mandatory to make this choice if we want to have a decent level of health. I'm losing friends every year, you guys. I'm sure you are too. They're dying from cancer, or rather, let me be more precise, they're usually dying from the treatment of their cancer. But I also know so many people with so-called diseases like autoimmune diseases or neurological ones. For example, MS, psoriasis, lupus, ALS, Parkinson's, etc. Then there are the millions out there with unknown pain syndromes. We have to turn this around. Doctors are lost. They can't help us. They are now more the problem than the solution because treating symptoms, well, rather, suppressing symptoms with drugs is making us more sick and more toxic. Doctors need to step up to the plate and learn the truth about food. Food is our medicine. Sadly, today we live in a world of misinformation because of all this easy access to the internet and all this information we can get. But part of that is great, I know, but sadly, much of what you read is written by the very industries or people who profit from you believing their lies. It's hard to find the truth, and that's why I'm so compelled to speak out and do my work. I know it always sounds like I'm ranting, and I feel bad for that, but I feel really strongly that I need to help you guys learn the truth. All right, you guys, I've said enough for today. I hope you love Dr. Morse as much as I do. I will speak a lot more about this in the future because detoxing is my life and it is my work to share with you, and he's the master. I feel so blessed to practice his work, but also in addition, I'm blessed to have all my homeopathic knowledge because I use this in addition to help me detox myself, my patients, my family, and friends. And now I can add Iridology into the mix to help me continue to help others and to keep finding the truth. I'm super excited about my path. And remember this, if we're eating to detox, which is what we all should be doing, then eating fruit is at the top of the pyramid. The only higher thing than that is fasting. And even higher than water fasting is dry fasting. But more on this subject another time. But you guys always remember these things. You're not sick, you're only toxic and in a state of acidosis. And remember, there's no diseases. This is only a man-made term because we don't understand how our sewer system of our body works. Therefore, we never were taught or learned how to clean it. Now we know how, so let's get going. And lastly, don't forget, knowledge is power and health is freedom. And without freedom, well, geez, I don't know what to say. That just feels horrible to me. Okay, you guys, I think you know what time it is. Yep, it's time to say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed the show today, my podcast family. I sure did. Vidal has spoken. Remember, you heal with a fruit-powered diet, homeopathy, and detoxing. Of course. Peace. Be healthy. Be free. Live life.